talk about this thing. I'm recording this on my GoPro, so if the angles aren't perfect, I can't really see what the screen is. It's the best camera I have right now. So I'm sorry about that, but anyways, we've been looking at this bike for quite a while. I've owned it for a couple years now, put some work into it, and I believe the last video showed me rebuilding, well, not really rebuilding, but cleaning the carburetor on it. After which, I actually took that winter, I took a lot of the bike apart, redid some electronics, got things working a little bit better. It was just so complicated and non-linear, I couldn't fit it into a good video that made any kind of sense. Long story short, got it back together, fixed some wheel alignment issues and other things, and then I got it on the road. I actually have a new license plate for this. I had it insured, registered, and I was in my grace period where I believe it was 14 days that I would need to get an inspection. So I went to test it out on the road, work out any possible kinks that came up, and well, after about 50 miles of riding, a pretty bad kink came up. Something happened to the engine, and it's acting like the exhaust valve stuck open. The only video I have is on my phone of it running like that. I'll try to throw it in here. Especially when it runs, it doesn't really run now. You have to pin the throttle open, and you can hear it just puffing, and it will just shoot smoke out the exhaust. Tried doing some valve adjustments, didn't work, and I'm not really sure what the problem is. I hope it's not something catastrophic to the engine. But regardless, we're going to spend hopefully a good chunk of this winter getting this thing torn apart. We're going to look through as much of this bike as we can by the time winter's gone, and I'm hoping by the time riding season comes back around that this thing's going to be roadworthy again someday. So, anyways, I guess the first order of business is to just start stripping it down again. So we'll start with that. We also changed locations. I got kind of kicked out of the garage I was in before. When this thing's all torn apart, it takes up some pretty serious space. And that garage was used for a lot of things. Where's my pen? Where's my freaking pen over here? There we go. Oh, and I've got something to show you guys. Once I get all this off. Anyways, I think you get the idea. You've seen me take these off before, so I'm not gonna make you walk through all of this again. I'll come back when the bike's a little more naked. Alright, so allow me to take you on a little tour now that this thing's a little more stripped down. So, you can see I kind of cleaned up the battery box a little bit. Used bungee cords as a tie down, but it holds it nice and sturdy actually. And then to fix the intake issue, well, I did one of these. Used I forget the brand now, but the little pod filter, section of PVC pipe connected to a 45-degree bend section of silicone hose that goes right to, oh gosh, can I show you? Right to the carb in there. And it works pretty well. Makes the bike a little louder, a little more punchy. However, I think, so that filter also has a risk of potentially causing a lean condition, especially at higher RPMs. That's what I'm worried about. I'm hoping I didn't burn an exhaust valve because of that. I hope it's an adjustment issue. Maybe a few small parts need to be replaced. But something's definitely not right. So, we're gonna have to get right into this baby. At least I know a little bit more of what I'm doing now. I wonder if the lights still work. I don't know if there's any battery power. Yeah, we got battery power. Cool. Does it turn over? Yep. Are we in gear? I think we might be in gear. Nope, not in gear. Oh, there we go. Turns over. Leave the fuel off. Just want to know if it cranks. Okay. So the bike cranks. That's good. Last time I touched this thing, the starter actually stopped working, and I think that's because I was running it too much and it got a little bit hot. I'm glad to see it actually turns the bike over again. I won't have to go into that right away, at least. Battery is definitely running low. I'll need to throw it on trickle charger. But yeah, I suppose it's time to start getting some of the more important, or some of the less important stuff out of the way. I'm gonna pull the battery. Probably move the gas tank. And then the exhaust is gonna have to come off so I can more easily figure out what's going on with this engine. There's the gas tank. Let's put a little bit of gas. I remember getting to this point being a much more difficult job than it just was. So I guess I'm getting a little better at this. So let's actually, instead of digging right in, let's take a little inventory of this bike in kind of a more stripped down state here. So let's see here. We've got, starting from the front, yeah, let's start here. So our front wheel and tire looks pretty good, actually. Even the forks, they seem to be in good shape. They're good and stiff. They have good rebound. That front brake is pretty good. The rotor looks totally fine. Still never fixed this brake lever. And as you can hear, there's a little click. That click is actually, there's a brake light switch wired in here. Where does it come out? Somewhere. And it's supposed to connect to this right here. That is the actual, well, actually no. Okay, let me back up. So there's a brake light switch there. There's a wire running back to this light right here, which actually does function. What I've done to test it is I've taken these two and crossed them. It does for sure light up. These are the wiring for the foot switch. There isn't one for this bike. It was never intended to be wired for riding on the road. However, there's a little hook. I don't know if I can show that to you with the GoPro. This little hook right here, which would allow one of them to hook onto if I could figure out a way to mount it up in here somewhere. So I'll have to work on that. I did repaint this a little bit. It was getting rusty. There's a bunch of weird bolt mounting stuff going on. A lot of these threads are stripped. This is one for the gas tank. This one's pretty stripped. This one here as well, not great. And it's very dirty overall. The rear master cylinder also is probably due for some love. The brake kind of just hits a wall. There's no progression of pressure building. It's kind of nothing, 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 and then lock. Which is not ideal. And I feel like there's supposed to be a spring that pushes this thing back down. Maybe there isn't. Maybe there's an internal spring. But it's not very eager to jump back up, which does kind of concern me. The rear brake rotor is not nearly as pristine as the front one, but it's not horrible. There's no gouging or scarring or anything that I can feel. And the pads have plenty of material left. I don't know if they're supposed to move like this though. I don't know if you can see that. Maybe that's normal for bikes? I don't know. We'll have to figure that one out. This is my chain guard here that I built, oh gosh, a while ago now. Actually painted it with bed liner. It looks pretty good and it actually works very, very well. So I'm happy about that. Earlier this year, just as I was getting it running, this bike actually tipped over very lightly this way. For some reason now some of the turn signals don't work. Like in the front here, there's one wired in, and then this one right here all stopped working. The rears are fine, I think, but we'll need to change some stuff in there. And one thing I want to see if anyone knows anything about this system right here. So this is coming from, looks like the exhaust valve side. It's a hard line that goes into this little junction. 3 tubes come out of here, and the other 2 come back to the intake right here, and one of them goes into the crankcase, this guy right here. So I think it's something for emissions. So this is a Chinese bike. I don't really know what kind of emissions standards they might have to deal with, but I'm pretty confident that this is an emissions thing. The bike would probably run better without it. So we'll see. Just checking my oil. It is present. Kind of dark for not having been run. Man. Oh yeah, and all this janky mounting stuff. There's bolts holding things on that weren't supposed to be there in the first place, so that's always fun. So where do we start? That's a great question. Suppose we gotta pull the exhaust off. Give ourselves some more room. And of course I'm bagging and tagging everything I get off of this guy because I hate to put it back together wrong. I hadn't intended to take this off, so I actually RTV'd this section, little exhaust RTV, so that'll be fun to get off, but it might be doable. We'll see. Go. Alright, oh, came right off too. Sweet. So, in this middle portion here you just saw me take off, there's a nut or a bolt, a washer, that goes through here, and then this spacer goes on behind that and bolts right into this section. Pretty cool. This is the little muffler section. Let's see if I can get a good view of this. There's not much to it. It's actually pretty much straight through. I'm not going to be able to show you, but you can see how dark it is in there. This thing hasn't been running right for a while. There's some layers of caked up carbon in here. But yeah, at least that's off now. Now we're going to move to the front section. So basically, there's studs in the engine and then these kind of capped nuts that go onto the studs. I think, oh no, it was with the carburetor. I actually pulled one of the studs out because it was so tight on there. There we go. Alright, so those are off. Now I should be able to yank this guy right out. And there's our pipe. Oh gosh. I don't remember there being this much crud. Gosh, let me get a light on this. This is bad. Look at all that crud right there. That's just straight up carbon. I was wondering if this thing was running too rich. So, before we get too far into this thing, I have a theory as to what happened. And I'm really curious as to whether or not it's true. So, that exhaust port was really chunky with carbon. I'm almost thinking that the bike, so this issue happened pretty much one of the first, I think it was like the third long drive I took with it. Long being like a 10-mile trip. Like not really that far, but far enough to let it warm up to temp and, you know, actually drive it. I'm almost thinking a chunk of carbon flaked off because it got real hot or something and got stuck in the exhaust valve. I don't think this is an interference engine. I don't think it would crank if it was with a valve issue like this. Then again, assuming it's a valve issue. So I think if we can figure out what's going on with that valve, we should be okay. And I can see, looking in here, there's not much reason to show you guys because you can't see a whole lot through a camera lens. But I can see a very, very carbony exhaust system thing, tube. But also, I see something shiny, like shiny dust. It's got me a little worried. That valve really doesn't look that good. I can see the valve stem and the kind of the top of that valve. See if I can crank this over a little bit. And I'm sorry again, I apologize. I'm not going to be able to show you guys this. This is for science right now. There we go, it's open. And then it's closed. I can't tell whether or not it's sealing. Prefer to not pull the cylinder off. I don't think we need to, but we probably need to pull this up. I'm not sure if this is a valve cover or if you'd consider it like the head. Oh, that's right. Timing chain is here. Huh. You know what? I'm gonna look at this a little bit more. I'm gonna think about it, decide how we want to proceed, decide what we want to do. I'm not sure. I think the best course of action, honestly, would probably be to do no further harm and do some research, knowing what I know now about the way the exhaust looks. I guess we could pull the spark plug too. That'd probably be a good thing to look at. That'll tell us a lot about how the engine was running the last time it ran, which we already know was not good. But so I've got the right socket, but I don't have my 1/2-inch drive set with me. Isn't that spectacular? I wanted to see what that spark plug looked like, but I don't think that's happening because I don't have the right set. So I'm sorry. This is gonna be a pretty short video. I think I'm probably gonna end it here. But I kind of want to set up what is going to be probably a pretty involved process and dive into this motorcycle. So if you have one of these or want one of these or just interested in motorcycles in general, please continue watching this series. It would mean a lot to me if you subscribe to my channel, turn on notifications. I think I'm going to be focusing on this guy for a while. It's going to be probably a pretty involved teardown. We're looking at, in the next video is probably more than likely, dropping the oil, checking that out, pulling the spark plug, pulling the intake, figuring out what the heck this whole system is and if I can get rid of it. And it really scares me to say so, but down the road we might pull this out of the bike and get a real good look at what's going on. This thing really isn't worth a whole lot in terms of money. It's not worth a whole lot to me in terms of sentimental value. I bought this bike specifically to learn all kinds and types of wrenching. So I'm pretty much not opposed to doing whatever you guys are looking to see, looking to learn about these bikes. Well, give me a couple episodes until we figure out if we're actually going to yank the engine. If you have any ideas, any tips, any tricks, anything that might help me get this guy on the road by this summer, please let me know. I'd be very interested to hear your comments, and I hope you enjoy this little thing. It's actually kind of fun when it's working right. So stay tuned. I will see you in the next one.